Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to COMP1511, which is probably your first course at UNSW. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's very nice to have you. This will be probably the most tedious lecture, and then we'll start doing fun stuff after this lecture, really. But since no one ever reads anything, this is going to be the admin lecture. So my name is Sasha, and I am your lecturer for this course, so you'll see quite a bit of me. And then in the second half of this term, I am away for a little bit, and you'll get to see Tammy just over here. She'll be doing some of the lectures for you. But yeah, I'm excited to be here and to teach this introduction to programming. And some of you will hate me by the end of this, and some of you will feel a bit better. Sorry, there's also a broken cupboard in front of me, so if you see me trip over something, that's what it is. This course has 3 admins, which you will communicate with throughout your time in the course. They are Nicole, who's on a plane to Italy, so you will not see her for a few weeks. The lovely Tammy, who is sitting down the front. You'll have quite a bit to do with her, and the lovely Sophia as well, who's down the front. You'll have quite a bit to do with her as well. So this lecture is currently being moderated and will be moderated throughout the term by the lovely Gab, who's also sitting at the front, and Addie, who's also sitting at the front. So I've got them back in primary school on the floor. Good. Okay, so we also have a whole bunch of tutors on this team who you will meet today and for the rest of this week when you go to your class. There are 52 tutors, and you can see some of them on our webpage for those tutors that have their photo up. You can kind of see whose class you're going to and who you're going to see when you get to that class. That's us, I think. We are all really, really excited. We all love computing. All of these people have done computing. Actually, no, not you, Tammy, but the rest of them, no, and not you, Gab. So 2 out of 4 did computing with me and still decided to stay and tutor, so something is going okay, I guess. Okay, so I guess we don't want it to get too, I keep forgetting which keyboard I'm on. We don't want it to get too boring, so I thought we'd have a little Kahoot just in the middle to wake everyone up. And we'll get to know you a little bit. And by the way, I've been enjoying the introductions on the forums, for those of you that have done that. If a Dylan is in this class, beware, I might be taking your dog home with me. That is a very cute dog. Whoa, I've never seen it move so fast. It's like, whew. All right, we'll give it 1 more minute. my goodness. All right, still going. All right, let's start. All right, here we go. Let's get to know you a little bit. Oh, why hasn't it got music? Okay, of course, I gotta know who's excited, who's thrilled to be here. Oh, yes. Okay, a few people are not really certain what's going on. Maybe we'll get you excited by week 2. I don't know, this was a random one. I had to ask how many people still watch TV shows these days. Okay, Breaking Bad. I can see it behind. Interesting, very interesting. Oh, someone prefers to watch COMP1511 as their favorite TV show. Whatever gets you off to sleep at night. We've got a lot of very healthy people in this course. 51% drink water in the morning. That is 17% drink coffee. Welcome to uni. That's all about to change. We're going to see a big shift towards caffeine in the morning. Favorite music genre? All of my admins like the same music genre. Not me. Sorry. Interesting, quite evenly split. God, so evenly split. I don't know if anyone's been watching The Boys, but this is what this reminds me of now. Favorite sport? Is someone going to say I don't play sport? Pictures of my favorite sport. Okay. League of Legends. Okay. Maybe a few people like hockey. Okay, a lot of gaming games, sports. Okay, a few questions left. Where would you like to go when you finish your degree? Okay, good luck to anyone discerning whatever this is. I felt like everyone is going to Japan from what I heard this last summer. I thought all of the pins would be in Japan, but no, all over the world. How do you like wasting your time? Alright, so most people like to play video games. Looks like no one really likes to cook all that much. And then scrolling TikToks. Fair. And what do you hope to get from this course? Which will be the best course you will do. What just happened? The depression one's a bit sad. Well, unfortunately, doing this course is not actually going to get you a job. Going to take a lot more than this course, unfortunately. So that's all happening. Thank you for that. That was quite interesting, actually. I'll see how many people are drinking water by the end of it. I should do that question at the end. Okay, so some of you have emailed, some of you have asked. We are not on Moodle because we're CSE and we like to do things in our own way. We are special. And so we have our own website that no one else has, obviously, but you will see it all over CSE. We don't use Moodle. So any and all course resources are all on this website. And then you will also be using something called EdSTEM, which is our forum. Some of you have already logged onto the forum. If you haven't, please get on the forum and introduce yourself and get familiar with the forum. The forum gets a lot of traffic and we get asked a lot of questions that we answer very regularly on the forum about the content, about the course, and about anything else that's going on. So if you have any admin related issues, you email the course, which is cs1511@unsw.edu.au, and we can help you. If you have any enrollment issues at all, we cannot help you. Enrollments are centralized, which means only Nucleus can help you. So you have to go to the Nucleus for any enrollment issues. Does anyone know what ELP plans are? Okay, if you don't, it's an equitable learning plan. If you have any ongoing medical issues or any chronic medical issues or any issues that prevent you from performing your best in the course, you would be very well placed to talk to the ELP people. You can just Google ELP UNSW and you will get a link to them. and it means that you can get some provisions put in place that will support your learning whilst you are at university. There is no stigma attached to it. It just helps to put you on an even footing with everyone else. So please, 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 if you haven't any conditions that prevent you from doing your best, please speak to the ELP people. Oh, well, there you go, forum. I got too excited about the forum. You can also ask questions in your tute and lab. That's what the classes are there for. So the course is structured. You have 2 2-hour lectures a week, which is where we introduce all the concepts, we do all the theory, and we do a lot of coding in the lectures as well. You then go to a TLB, which is a 1-hour tute followed straight away by a 2-hour lab. The 1-hour tute will expand on the concepts that we covered in the lecture, and then the lab will get you to actually practice those concepts. And you are welcome to ask questions in those TLBs, right? You've got one tutor in the tute, and then you've got a tutor and another assistant in the lab, so there's plenty of help as you need it. In week 3, we also start help sessions, and that means that you can go in and have one-on-one help as well. Now, these help sessions get extremely busy at assignment time. Whenever assignments are due, you'll be standing in line for a long time. So start your assignments early, and then you can be seen without standing in line for ages. What is COMP1511? Has anyone heard anything about 1511? Has anyone? One person has heard about this course. Yeah, a few people have heard about this course, yes. Yay! So 1511 is the first taste of computing, right? So it's an intro to programming. Some of you have programmed before, and we're going to do a little survey in your labs to find out who has programmed before and who hasn't, just so that we can better support you as well. The one piece of advice is really, please don't look at people around you, especially those people that have been programming for a really long time. If you have never coded, you're not going to be on the same level, like in the same, kind of area to start with. But I promise you, you study hard and you kind of keep pushing, and you will finish this course. You can still get a very good mark. But obviously someone who's programmed before will find the content a lot easier because they're familiar with the concepts that we will be covering. Okay, so what are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing some coding in this course, a lot of coding, which is super fun sometimes, and sometimes it's really frustrating. There's going to be quite a few of you that have never programmed before, and don't worry about it. We will get you all set up and we will support you. In 1511, we will hold your hand. And then good luck for the rest of your courses, because no one else will hold your hand. So hopefully we can set you up nicely so that you don't really need to have your hand held anymore after you leave us. So we're doing coding, which is actually writing a set of instructions that the computer will follow and execute. Now, when you are doing programming, you're not just learning a new language, which you will do in this course, but you're also learning how to solve problems in a very different way. So you're really learning 2 new things, and it is going to be quite hard and sometimes overwhelming, but lots of practice. And I'm sorry to say, socializing is now done. Welcome to the next 10 weeks where all you'll be doing is, probably most of you are doing maths as well, so this is probably going to be quite a hard term. And physics? Is that what people do? No, not in comp sci. No, this is a comp sci. In engineering, you do the physics as well, and that's awful, as well as a combination of subjects. So we assume no prior knowledge, which means that we will help you with everything. We assume 0 programming experience. So whilst we acknowledge that those that have programmed before will have it easier, that doesn't mean if you haven't programmed before, you're going to find it superbly hard. You might, but you might not as well. So we're going to teach you how to approach problems, how to try and solve problems, and how to actually program a little bit. Now, do you know which language we use in this course? Ah, how good is this? Absolutely, we do use C. And I'll talk a little bit more about why we use C, because C is not actually a very common introductory language, but you will thank me later, because C is awesome. So lectures, I think I said we have 2 2-hour lectures here, and they're also streamed online. They're also going to be available as recordings. I do appreciate you coming in person. It's always really nice to have an in-person lecture because then you can see what's going on and I can see if people are understanding what's going on as well. Week 6 is Flex Week. That is meant to be your week to have a break. There is no lectures. However, in 1511, we believe that you should just be coding. So our assignment, that's going to be a week to be doing your assignment in. So it's going to be no formal lectures, but you'll still be coding kind of week. But at least you don't have to go anywhere. If you have a question, even if you are in person, feel free to ask in the live chat if you don't want to raise your hand and ask a question in person. So not a problem. Number 1 rule though, please be respectful of everyone else. If everyone is here to learn, if we see someone who's not being nice, respectful, and conscious of others and other people, there's many different people, we have a diversity of people. If you're not being nice, you will be kicked out of the live chat and you will be asked to leave the theatre as well. Because we're all here to learn and everyone, needs to be respected, and that's really where it's at. I guess that's the same everywhere you go. Okay, so in the lectures, all sorts of fun. We're going to do some theory. I think after this week, you will barely see any slides. The slides will be there, but you can look at them yourself. I usually explain things through a series of examples and through code, and I'll draw diagrams as well. So the slides will just be there to, remind you and to be able to go over them later. We'll also set things out of how to solve the problems. And everything that you need is available from the course website, and our lectures are on YouTube. Okay, I get too excited and then I talk about everything before I'm meant to talk about it. Okay, the course has the following components. It has lab problems every week. The lab problems are worth 15% over the course of the course. And you will be submitting them every single week, Monday the following week of when you're actually doing them. So you have a week to do them in, and you can do them both in the lab during lab time and also in your own time, because often you will not finish the exercises just in the 2-hour lab. We also have 2 assignments. The assignments are much bigger problems. You really need to start them early. I promise we're not just saying that. The earlier you start it, the more help you can get, the further you will go in this assignment, basically. Each assignment is going to be broken up into stages. We'll talk more about them as we get closer to an assignment. And 2 assignments, one is due in week 7 and the second one is due in week 10. Sure. Nope. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so assignments are purely individual work. Do not do them in tandem with anyone. We check for plagiarism. I'll talk about plagiarism a little bit later. And there are late penalties for assignments. So, and the late penalty is 5% per day late off the ceiling. Okay, again, help sessions. I really do like to repeat myself sometimes. Okay, then there is a final exam, and the final, take home open book. That is incorrect. I don't know what that is. It's absolutely not take home. You're not taking anything home. We shove you into a lab over many sessions. No, you will register for which session you want. There's going to be a few sessions of this exam. There's like a morning, afternoon session, and then there's another session the next day. About 3 hours in total for this exam. You'll be given a series of problems to solve in C. You'll be expected to understand how to read C. We will talk more about the exam in week 9, don't worry, but the exam has 2 hurdles in it. That means that to pass this course, you don't just need to score a mark of 50 or above, you need to pass 2 hurdles in the exam. One of those hurdles is you need to answer a question using arrays, which is the concept that we will be using for the first 5 weeks of the term. Arrays. And then the second hurdle is that you need to answer a question using linked lists, and that's what we will be doing in the second half of the course, is doing linked lists. and they will be clearly marked in the exam as well, which ones you need. Don't worry, we will practice, we'll talk more about it as we go. So that means overall you've got your final exam is 40%, assignment 1 is going to be 20, and assignment 2 is 25, and the labs are 15. And that's how you pick up all those possible marks. So please do your labs, that's the easy marks. If you fall ill in the next 10 weeks, you know, you've got a cold or something else that affects how you can do your work, there is something called special consideration at uni. Do not just persevere with a fever and, you know, feeling awful. You don't need to. Just apply for special consideration and you will get an extension. You just submit your medical certificate or whatever else to them and they give you an extension. So please don't just kind of, you know, hobble in and we had someone turn up to the exam who had fallen off their bike and was just, the helmet was like half cut. There was a cut on their face and I'm, what are you doing here? Go to the hospital. Please don't do that. Just look after yourselves. Equitable learning plans, I talked a little bit about them. If your illness is not acute, so it's not going to last for a few days and then you know you'll feel better. If it's something ongoing or chronic, please talk to the equitable learning people because then they can set you up with provisions that help you for all of your courses as well. Okay, we do have supplementary assessments and that means that if you do happen to fall off your bike on the way to the exam or if you're feeling sick on the morning of the exam, don't show up to that exam, okay? If you're not feeling well, one, I don't want your lurgy. We had one exam where all of us got COVID because someone showed up with COVID and that was not that fun. But what you do is as soon as you know you're not well, you apply for special consideration and they will put you into a supplementary examination period and they're going to be in May. I don't know when they are yet. They will let us know and then I will let you know. UNSW has something called a fit to sit exam rule and assignment rule, but mostly it applies to exams. What that means is if you show up to the exam, it means that you're declaring yourself fit to do so. And that means you cannot apply for special cons after the fact. So that means you've gotten into the exam, you're like, oh, actually, this is quite a hard exam. I really wasn't well enough to be here. No special cons. So if you're not well on the day, don't come to the exam. Okay, a little bit more about the code of conduct. Just another repeat, but this is very important. Please, we're all here to learn. No inappropriate behavior, no discrimination, no harassment, bullying, aggression, or sexual harassment. Please, full respect for the privacy of others as well. If you feel that that is not being upheld in the course, please feel free to come and speak to me. If you don't feel comfortable speaking to me, there's others in the school that you can speak to. There's grievance officers, and you can take it higher as well as needed. So we're all here to learn. Please keep it respectful. Anything connected to 1511, you know, the forums, the lecture chat, and everything else, keep it respectful. And we check for that. Plagiarism. Okay, who knows what plagiarism is? One person. Wow, that's nice. Plagiarism is when you take credit for work that is not yours. And please don't do it. Honestly, please don't. I really don't like doing plagiarism interviews. You break my heart because I feel so bad. So please don't plagiarize. What you can do is just come and ask us for help and we will help you. Come to the help session or come to your tute or just send me an email. We will help you. Please don't plagiarize. Any kind of cheating on this course will incur penalties, okay? You might fail the assignment or you might fail the whole course. It's not worth it. Please just come and talk to us if you're having trouble starting something. Actually, you also cannot give your work to someone that constitutes plagiarism from you, even though you didn't copy someone else. If you willingly and with consent give your work to someone else to copy, you are now also plagiarizing. Okay, collaboration versus plagiarism. I don't want to scare you. This is just awful. Anyway, you are allowed to talk to people when you're doing the assignment. You're allowed to chat with someone how you're solving it. How is the problem going to be solved? You cannot share code. And you would be surprised, it's very easy to pick up code that is the same. Even if you change two things, we still know it's exactly the same because everything inside it is the same. Changing variable names does not mean that you've written a different piece of code. We can pick that up very easily. And we do run your assignments through plagiarism checkers, okay? So please don't. It's so not nice. So don't use anyone else's code. Don't ask someone else to do it for you. Don't provide your code to other people. You'd be surprised. Even if you use ChatGPT, we can half-time tell that you've used ChatGPT to write your code. So please don't. And what it does is it takes away from you actually learning anything. And what happens then is you leave this course, and it's a prerequisite for many other courses. You move on to other courses and you realize, actually, I can't do any of this because I don't know how to do that. So you're kind of denying yourself the beauty of learning. Really know. Yeah.
Yeah, so for programming, I appreciate that a lot of it is actually searching on Google, like Stack Overflow or GitHub or something along those lines. And there are very, very common solutions written for very common functions. So I wonder how plagiarism is sort of dealt with in that
Okay.
case.
If you're using 2 lines of code from a Stack Overflow, in your code you will just comment that these 2 lines are taken from Stack Overflow, because we do that in real life as well. It's not, we don't, some things are very common and there's no other way to write it. That is very true. This is more the whole assignment being plagiarized. Yeah. Okay, so, I guess for more info, course webpage, course forum, via Moodle. What is this? We definitely don't do anything on Moodle. Okay, I like to put up this slide. For those of you that have not been at UNSW before, which is really most of you, this is just a list of all the services that UNSW has, and it kind of helps to summarize where you can go for help. UNSW has counselling services, wellbeing services. It also has a 24/7 message line for counselling. If you need any help at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of these services to help you with anything. Okay, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I picked up pace very nicely. Okay, we're going to have a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back, and then we're actually going to talk about computing, which is the more exciting part. I hate doing admin, so this is going to be nice. All right, let's get the show back on the road. Okay, we'll start at the very beginning. Actually, before we start, Sophia's all ready. So usually in my lectures, I get Sophia to throw some chocolates and lollies and stuff, and usually she misses, so I'm sorry in advance. She said she's been practicing over summer, but I don't believe her. So she's going to throw some in now. Usually we do it for questions and answers, but everyone needs to wake up a little bit after admin. I hate admin. Maybe you do too. All right. Show me how you've been practicing, Sophia. Oh, amazing. Where are the chopper chops? I want to see you throw those with the sticks.
Someone's going to catch it.
Oh my, Sophia. Can you reach the back? Oh my God. Okay, Addie's a lot better, Sophia. You're about to be fired from the throwing job. Ah, Sophia. Gab, you're all right. What about at the back? The back is feeling lonely. You can't throw those, no. After what I've seen, you cannot throw things with sticks, no. No, just... Are you out of order? Okay, well now we'll leave the rest for the whoever answers the question, and we'll just not watch the video. Oh, sorry. Alright, well that was fun. Unfortunately we can't pass them through the screen, so sorry about that. Okay, so what is a computer? Who can tell me? Well, I guess I've got something on the screen, but who? I guess everyone has a computer. That's a stupid question too. I was going to be like, who has a computer? Okay, so what's a computer? It is something that helps us get things done, I suppose. I can't really live without mine. I think there's a few, yeah, if it's raining, I will sort of not go out with my computer because I'm so paranoid about the rain. So the key elements of a computer is some memory to store information and a processor that will execute the commands that we give it to execute. And programming, which is what we will be doing, is actually providing the computer with specific instructions to solve those problems. So contrary to popular belief, computers are not that smart. I mean, they are very smart, but they're not that smart. We have to give them instructions what they should do. And they follow those instructions to the letter. So we will use a specific language to write those instructions, and that's the code. And then we will watch the computer execute those instructions. Hopefully well, but it all depends on what kinds of instructions that you give it. So at the core of programming, it's really just solving problems. And hopefully doing it, well, the first few weeks you'll have easier labs to do, but it will get harder. You'll go through many iterations of your code to make it work. It's not just you, it's going to be everyone around you. Bugs in code, so errors in code are very common, and you will find yourself sometimes up a very long time to kind of solve things. Okay, operating system. What is an operating system? Who knows what an operating system is? A few people here. Who uses Windows? Oh, quite a few people. Who uses Macs? Who uses Unix? Just a few lonely souls. Guess what? You're all about to use Unix, and that's going to be super exciting because you will be logging into our interface. So the operating system is basically the interface between you and the computer hardware, and it will execute the programs. It will make solving problems easier, and it's basically the thing that sits between the code and the computer. So we don't really care much about unless you then go on to do operating systems as a course at UNSW. Great course. You will never see the daylight for the time that you do it. But it is actually a fantastic course. Have any of you done it? You've done it, Sophia. Oh, you've done it, Gab, as well. It's a very good course. Strongly recommend if you like operating systems. So we're going to be using Linux, and Linux is a Unix-based operating system. Who's heard of Linux? Oh, amazing. Everyone knows a little penguin. So it is open source, which means that you don't have to pay for it, which makes it amazing. It's more reliable, lightweight, it's faster, it's more secure. Well, I guess we could go on and on and on about it, but you'll get to see it in action. I think I'm just going to go and show it to you in action instead of actually going through the whole hubbub of pictures. Actually, yeah, why not? Okay, so you're going to be using something called Tiger VNC. That is the wrong keyboard, and I'm typing in the wrong thing. You will be using something called Tiger VNC when you do this course, and what it will allow you to do, don't worry, there's instructions on how to set all of this up that you will see, but what it will allow you to do is it will allow you to connect remotely to the CSC machines. And that means that you'll have your whole setup going. And when you log on to our remote machine, you will see a Linux environment, which kind of looks okay, nothing too scary. And then we go to something called a terminal window. I mean, it still looks okay, maybe, not too scary. Who's used terminal windows before? Few people? Okay, very nice. So a terminal window is something that was the only thing available when I was growing up, and it relies on you to remember all the commands. There is no graphical user interface to support it. That's how we all did computing. We did it through this type of interface. But then, I guess to make computing more accessible, not I guess, definitely to make computing more accessible, obviously a graphical user interface makes things a lot easier, and when you can see and recognize things, it makes it a lot faster to actually do anything. So anyway, we'll take you back so you can use some terminal because that's how we're going to run our compiler. What is a compiler? I guess the next question is. I won't go faster. Okay, so this is your terminal window. And the terminal window, which is a command line driven, which means you have to type in the commands, it gives, it allows us to exchange simple text commands to the shell. Okay, so what is a shell? There we go. The shell is that little thing in the middle here, and that is a program that executes the commands, and it has its own syntax. It will return things that the terminal can display, or it can also open up other things for us. You will get used to it, I promise. And you do that by using the prompt, which is the little line over here. Yours will look slightly different. I actually went to UNSW and did computer engineering at UNSW a very, 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 very long time ago. And back in the day, CSC was so special that we didn't even bother using ZIDs. We all had our own names, and that's why you see a really weird name here. That's my name from when I was a student here, and it just kind of persisted even though I wasn't here for about 15 years after that. So this is called a prompt line, and this is where you type in your commands. You will see your ZID there, and it will allow you to enter text. And there is some commands that you can do. I would type those into my terminal, but I actually haven't checked what my terminal looks like. And all three of them have seen my desktop. It's not pretty. And everything else looks about the same. I am very bad at filing things and cleaning things, and oh well, why not? Let's just, okay, so that's the wrong keyboard. There is something called, a command called ls, and that command is basically you're listing the structure. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to list all the directories that are here. Okay, and directories is all the folders. If anyone is reading this weird Spice Girls directory, that's from 2 years ago when Sophia decided to give me a folder name to create a directory, and that's still there 2 years later. I don't feel the need to clean up anything, clearly. So, was that your favorite band?
I was wearing a shirt.
Oh, you're wearing a shirt that said Spice Girls. I was like, why would we have done Spice Girls? Okay, so let's make a directory, shall we? Now the command to make a directory, and you will say, what is a directory? What a great question. A directory is basically a folder that you use. So if I open this up, and I'll show you what it looks like graphically. This is me over here with the actual folders that you can see. And these are the folders over here in the text-based output. So 22T1, there's that folder, 22T1, amazing. 22T3 exam, it doesn't have the exam in it. I don't know what it has in it. I name things randomly. There we go, 22T3 exam. Who knows what else is in here? Okay, so what should we do? Should we go inside a directory? So let's go inside the Spice Girls. So if I go into the Spice Girls, oh God, no, I don't really want to go in there. That's got stuff in it. Okay, I'm going to make a new directory. To make a new directory, wrong keyboard again, you use the command mkdir, make directory, and then I name that directory. And that directory is going to be, give me something. You're wearing a t-shirt with nothing today. Olives. Oh, what a weird name. You guys are killing my desktop with weird names. So now if I press ls to see what's here, you're going to see that I have a directory called olives. Super exciting. And if I go into over here, if I actually look at it visually, I still have a directory called, if I could do the alphabet, olives. So if I go into olives, it should be empty. Let's see what happens when I put something into olives. Okay, if I go inside the directory, I will use the command cd. The command cd means change directory, and I'm changing it to go into olives. So if I press enter now, you can see over here I've now gone into the olives directory. And there is, if I press ls, I'm going to see that there is nothing there because there is nothing in this directory. Let me make this actually bigger. And where is my camera now? Great, 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 great. Who really needs to see me on this stream? Okay, great. All right, so let's, what should we do? Should we make a file in there? Yes? Are you excited? Make a file, yeah. Okay, so should we make a coding file? Are we going to do our first piece of code? Are we going to hello world because that's what you do every time you learn a new language? I guess we've got to go with it. All right, wrong keyboard, I can't handle this. Okay, now the word code stands, I should have gone into this. I just keep jumping, I just get too excited. Okay, so we are using, what else are we using in this course? We're going to be using VS Code. It's going to be a very pared down version of VS Code with almost everything removed from it except for the window that allows you to write your code. Okay, to bring up VS Code on this wonderful terminal interface, you type in code and then you might have a file name. And our file name today, what goes well with olives? I don't know. Cheese? Cheese.c. Okay, so the file name extension is going to be .c because I'm going to create a file that I'm specifying is a C file, and that means it's going to be in the language C. So everything takes sometimes a little bit of time to do in this beautiful environment, but what you will see is VS Code will open, and it will be so exciting. And it's going to open with something that looks like this, okay? It's going to have some line numbers, it's going to have the name of the file up here, and it's going to be a .c file, which means that we're going to be programming in C. Okay, let me make sure I've covered a few things. Yes, okay, we're up to it. Okay, good. All right, so now we want to actually do something in C that is so exciting. First of all, let's do a comment because that's the most fun. So what is a comment? A comment is something that you do with two little backslashes. And what that means is that when you compile, I should probably say what a compiler is, the computer ignores that comment when it compiles, okay? So a compiler is something that translates your code into something that a machine can read, okay? So a machine cannot read English, and the English commands that you do it, the instructions that you give it. So a compiler will translate your English into ones and zeros, into something that a machine can run and execute, so into an executable file. So we're going to be writing in C, then we're going to use a compiler to do the translation for us. A standard C compiler is something called GCC. We are not going to be using that in this course. In this course, we've written our own compiler called DCC, and I'll show you how to use it, and that's what we will be using, okay? And don't worry, it's all a little bit of mumbo jumbo right now, but it will all come together, I promise. You'll be DCCing like there's no tomorrow soon. Okay, so this is a comment. That means when a compiler runs, it doesn't care what the comment is. It doesn't need to do anything with it. This comment is an instruction for other humans reading your code. It is not an instruction for the computer. It is for other humans that will read your code, and unfortunately lots of humans will read your code. So a name of a file called cheese.c is actually a terrible name for a file, because when I come back to it in a year's time, I'm going to have no idea what on earth is in that file because it's called cheese.c and it doesn't make any sense. So this is a comment. It is for humans only. And so we're going to be doing our first program. Okay, so that's a comment. How exciting. So we still haven't done anything that a computer can read. Okay, now I'm going to be doing something really bizarre. I'm going to do a hash, and I'm not really tagging anything, but I'm going to do a hash include. Also, slightly weird command. Has anyone ever seen this hash include command? Ah, a few people. Those are the people that have programmed before. Don't look at them. Don't make eye contact. Don't worry. So the hash include command, what it does is what the other person was saying before. Sometimes there is very common things that we have in every programming language. And those common things, I don't want to be doing them again. I don't want to be rewriting code for something that is really simple and something that I don't need to and that gets done all the time. So something like printing out to the terminal, so showing output from any piece of code, so printing out, is a very common thing that I would need to do often in my coding. I don't want to have to write the code for that each time. So what I do is I borrow them from standard libraries. And when I do this hash include, what it does is it includes that standard library. That means I would like to use some code from this standard library. And if you Google standard C library, there's a few of them. Right now we're just going to do one of them. Okay, standard input-output library. What it means is it will allow us to print out to terminal, and you'll see it's got a .h finish on it, extension, and the .h stands for a header file. Don't worry about it. You don't really need to know it. This line you will include everywhere, and we will go into libraries in a few weeks when they make a bit more sense, okay? So for now, just feel like this is syntax. That's all that's going to happen. All it means is I'm going to be able to print something. Okay, now I'm actually going to write some code. Okay. So what this is it is the main function. It is the main piece of code. And what C does is anything that you have, it will always start in something called main, okay? So your main function is the function that's going to be read first by the computer. That's where the execution will start. Again, you're probably going, what does any of this mean? Very good questions. For now, for today, on Wednesday, we will go into it in so much more detail. For today, just think of it as syntax. All that these things mean is this is the name of whatever it is that I'm writing, this function. It's called main. and that's where my computer will start its reading. This over here is int, means I'm going to be returning an integer. Again, a lot of mumbo jumbo, but we have to start somewhere. And in here is something called void, which means nothing is, I'm not giving this function anything. It's all from scratch. So don't worry again, it will make more sense in a few weeks, but for now, just go with it that it's the syntax. Anything that we want to, any big expressions, we enclose in curly braces, and that allows us to separate out our code and to know which bits belong with which bits. So in C, anything that we do, we also finish each line with a semicolon, and you will see that in a second. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to print out hello world, I guess. That's the first thing anyone ever does. I feel like I'm killing you softly already because I'm like, oh, here we go. Now this, now this, now this. How exciting. Okay, now this, printf. Printf is a function that is inside this library. So I don't need to define what it does or what it's not doing. It's sitting inside that stdio, so as long as I include stdio, we'll do something that doesn't include it in a second to show you. But what printf does is it prints something out to the terminal. Okay, so if I'm going to use that, I will enclose whatever I want to print out in braces, and I will put a semicolon after it to show that that statement is going to be finished. And inside it I can write what I want to print out to terminal. Okay, if I want to print out a statement, which is hello world, I will also enclose my statement in quotation marks. Okay, so let's do hello world. And again, don't worry about this for now. I'm going to return 0 at the end. And we'll talk more about what returning means. For now, just consider it syntax. Okay, so this is really your first program. I'm going to save it, and now I'm going to run it. Actually, I'm just going to extend this so I can have them side by side so you can see what's going on. Okay, so I'll clear this. If I go inside and I press ls, you can see that I now have this file called cheese.c. We really should rename it at some stage. It's an awful name. So now I need to do something. How do I run it? So this is where I need to compile this file first so that the computer can actually execute it. Okay, so if I want to compile, our compiler is called DCC. I'm going to type the words DCC, which is a command that will call the compiler. That's the name of it. And then I'm going to say, what file do I want to compile? I want to compile the file called cheese.c. Okay. I think I'm going to show a.out to start with. Okay, yes, I will. Okay, let's say I compile it now. Okay, so no errors. That's what it means if it's just come out on the next line. And I'm going to ls now. And what I'll have here is this thing called a.out. Okay? And that a.out is a file that is created by the compiler. That's the executable file. That's the ones and zeros. Now, if you keep going with your a's.outs, that's really an awful way to name a file, isn't it? But you'll see that it's created. What I can do is I can actually not have an a.out file. What I can do is I can tell it to name the file something else. So I'm going to say compile, DCC, that's how I call the compiler. I'm going to say which file to compile, then I'm going to say -o, and I'm going to give it a name. Let's say I want to call it cheese. I'll run the command again, and now when I ls, you'll see that there is now something called cheese. So it's compiled it, but it's not named the file a.out, which is an awful name for a file. It's named it cheese, which is what I asked it to do. Okay, so now we want to run it. Okay, to run it, / and then the name of the file that you want to run, cheese. And There we go. Printf, it's worked. Hello world. Thank you. Thank you. My God, if you're clapping this, what will you do in week 10? Okay, this looks really ugly though, because my hello world is now squished with the next prompt. Pretty awful. How do I make it go to the next line? What do we reckon? This is a chopper chop. Come on. I do. I need to insert a new line command, and a few people on the chat also over there. Okay. What on earth is a new line character? It is this wonderful thing. It is /n. Very good. What is, hey?
Sorry?
Oh, no, I just thought you were asking a question. No, all good. Okay, so /n. So I've done a /n here after my hello world. Still inside the inverted commas because /n is actually, I want it to be included in my text, right? The new line is part of the text that I'm creating. So I'll save it again. And then instead of typing in all these commands again, all I need to do is press the up button, and the up button will recall the last few commands that I've done. And what I'll do is I'll scroll up to my last command where I compiled this cheese.c file, and I'm going to just run it again. So I'll press enter to run it again. It's run it again. And now if I actually execute the file, so // and then the name of the file, it will, hello world, it will exclamation mark, and it will also move on to the new line for me, which is super exciting. Okay, so now I think we should get rid of that a.out file, don't you reckon? It needs to go. How do we remove a file? Who knows on Unix? Yeah, beautiful. We type in rm, which stands for remove, and I say what file I want to remove. I want to remove a.out. Okay, something's happened. If I run ls, that a.out is now gone, disappeared. How exciting. Now this file should have really been inside our week 1. Yeah. Oh, what do you want to do if you want to print a new line without a new line? Okay. Who knows what you would do if I actually just want to print out this for some crazy reason? Yeah, double slash. Very good. So if I put a slash to complement my slash, just lots of slashing. Well, no, please no slashing at all, but okay, let's go back, compile it again. So every time you change something in your code, you need to recompile it so that a new executable is created. And then we'll run it again. And so now, as you can see, there's no new line. It's just the actual characters that's written. So the // is what kind of negates the that beauty. Okay, fantastic. So oh God, okay, lots of questions already. Okay, I'm going to maybe explain, and my favorite answer, Sophia, thank you, give it a try. So that's the beautiful thing about coding is if you have a question, you're not going to break anything, right? Just try it. I mean, you might break something, but it's not going to really affect anything. You'll see me breaking lots of things because the best way to see weird and wonderful things, and computers often do weird and wonderful things under our instructions and under our faulty instructions, is to try it and to see what actually happens. And that's one of the best ways to learn as well. One of the best ways to learn is to try it out. Okay, so I think let's talk a little bit about this return 0, and then we're also going to move that file because right now none of you can see that file. Maybe first we should move the file. Should we move the file first? Yeah, let's move the file. Okay, right now none of you can see this file, but I want you to be able to see the file as I type them in the lectures. And I want you to be able to view, every time I save, the file will be updated. Obviously, the code is going to get harder than hello world, which means that sometimes you will maybe you lose track of what I'm saying, but you want to see the code, and it will refresh every time that it is saved. So if you're on our website, which is right here, you will see that there is something called lecture code. And if you click on this lecture code, there is nothing in there because I haven't created anything in there yet. But this is what I'm going to be using to put the lecture code in. And I will do it in the lectures. Oh, how do I get out of the Olives directory? Who knows? Yeah. Ah, beautiful. So I'm going to change directory. I'm going to go ... after it. And what it will do, it will move me one level up. Okay? And that means I'm now in the center, not in the center, at the start again. So I'm back in my main hub. Okay? I will explain what the return 0 does in a second. Okay, so I'm going to change to the directory in which I am don't worry about okay, I'm inside week 1. I'm going to move the file in here. So I'm going to open another terminal window so you can see it all in action. And I'm going to navigate to this file that is currently in here. So the file is inside Olives, and the file is called cheese.c. So cheese.c is the one that I care about, and I'm going to move it. Who knows the command for moving a file? Yeah. No, that's make directory. No, all good? Yeah, MV, move. Okay, so I'm going to move. What am I going to move and where am I going to move it to? And if you're ever unsure, okay, if you ever don't know what the command is, all you have to do is just Google Unix MV command, and what it will do is it will just give you the exact way you have to use it. So right, it's not, you can just Google or you can just use the graphical user interface, but please try and use the terminal a little bit. So the way it goes, oh, should I tell you about the man? No, I won't tell you about the man. Okay, so we're going to move the file cheese.c, and now I need to move it to this directory over here. Okay, so I'm going to retype this directory, and it's inside public HTML 24T1 code. Okay, something has happened, right? It's not complained to me. If I press listing structure now, that file is now gone that was there before, and that's because it's been moved. If I go in here now, it's now sitting inside this directory. So the file has moved to wherever I wanted it to go. Okay, so now let's see if we have it. But you will not be able to see it. So the next command, you don't need to know it, you never need to know it, but basically I'm giving access to that file so that you can see it. Okay, so now this file is here, and I can just do all the same things from here. So I can compile it again, so DCC, cheese.c, I'm going to give it a name. I think it's almost time to rename this file. So you can see now it's got my executable file again, and I can run it again from this location, and it's still going to give me this hello world situation going on. Okay, so I think it's time to rename the file. What do you think? Should we rename the file? How do you No! Someone wants to keep it as cheese.c. So in week 1, it's always going to have that. Who knows how to rename a file? Yeah. It is indeed the same command. It's the move command. What are we going to rename it? What do you think would be a good name for this file? Yeah. the upgraded version. Imagine reading cheese number 2, cheese number 3, cheese number 3. I think a good name is Hello World. Boring, but okay, okay, I'm just clearing it so it doesn't look angry. Okay, so we're going to rename it. So if I list it now, instead of cheese.c, I'm going to have helloworld.c. And if I open it, it's still going to be exactly the same file that I was working on before. Amazing? Amazing. Don't worry so much. You can still do a lot of this using using just the actual directories over here, because all of this is also on the graphical user interface. But it's good practice. It's much faster to move in the terminal, and you can do more things as well. Also, you look way cooler when you do things in terminal. Everyone thinks you know what you're doing. So, strongly recommend. Okay, so let's come back to what on earth this return business is, and why do we have it? What does it mean? This is really kind of skipping ahead a few weeks, but I'm going to just give you a little bit of a lowdown. Don't worry if you don't understand it. You will go through everything in your tutes again as well. So don't worry, it's still all coming together. So in C and in other languages, often you will have to return something, okay? Depends if you have told this function that you're returning something. So remember, our instructions are very specific. We actually let the computer know what's going on. In this case, I've told this function that I'm returning an int, an integer. And we will do what an integer is on Wednesday. We will go through a whole bunch of variables and do a whole bunch of things. But basically, I need to return an integer. And so here I am returning a 0. If any of you noticed, I type a return 1 to start with, and then I deleted it and returned a 0 instead. So returning a 0 or a 1 is kind of standard practice, okay? What it means is if I return 0, it means that no errors occurred, this program has run successfully and finished, and that's just kind of the standard lingo. But if I return 1, something has happened, because I can exit out of a function at any time I want. I'm the one providing the instructions, right? I'm in charge, sometimes. So the 1 basically says that something has happened in there. Don't worry, you don't need to know this for another few weeks. It's just to explain that there is a return there and why it's there. But this is a standard syntax of what this function looks like. I know I'm using the word function a lot. There is no other way to explain what a main is. You will learn what functions are in week 3 as well. But for now, just basically, it's anything that I'm including in kind of this bit. It's inside the main, and that's what I'm running. Okay. Now let's see what's on. Any questions so far? Any questions? Oh, everyone's doing great. What? It would be good to bring a laptop, just because it might get really boring watching me code otherwise. Yeah. Oh, that is such a great question. There isn't. So I hope I have complained about it. I got given a bunch of extension cords, which are potentially not safe. So have 2 hours of charge on your laptop. It's really, there's a few chargers down on the front here, and there's chargers that these people can use from the lectern, and there's a few chargers over there. Some seats might have under. Wow, this theatre might be advanced. Oh, this theatre is different. I can see a few plugs actually. They might be under your seats. There's plugs, maybe. Okay, so any other questions in person so far? Yeah. yes code, you better go from our yes code. So where to do current. So you're going to be logging into our remote environment because then your files are saved on our service and you can use DCC. Whilst DCC is open source as well, here on Mac, some things don't run so well. So we recommend that you use our Remote Connect so that all your files are also saved. We've had quite a few times where people are coding locally and they lose their whole assignment and it's really, really sad and there's nothing we can do to help them. And also because we allow you to auto test, so we keep track of where you're at. Yeah. You have actually. Let's make an error because so far we've written a perfect piece of code. It's run. It's not given us any problems at all. But let's make some problems. Should we make some problems? What should the first problem be? Who wants to make a problem? Give me a problem. Where should we put it? Let's just put it here. Why not? Wild. Absolutely wild. No, who would have expected it from week 1? Okay, I've saved it. Let me compile it again. So DCC, this is why I hate naming files long things. Hello? Okay, this is what the compiler does. It tells you what on earth is going on and it tells you if there's an error in your code, okay? In this case it said, okay, there's an error on line 7 and yes it is on line 7. The error use of undeclared identifier, LLL, you're probably sitting there going, what does that mean? And a lot of errors are going to be like that. It said to you, you've used the name blah on line 7 without previously declaring it. This all still makes absolutely no sense to you because this will make sense, a bit more sense on Wednesday. But anyway, it is an error that it's given. But what we also have for you is if you don't understand something, what we've worked on is to have an AI-generated help. So you can get AI to tell you, maybe it will give a better explanation than this one here. If you run DCC help, you will get an answer produced by ChatGPT that has the context of your error. It will be better than what you would do if you were to put it into ChatGPT, that error yourself, because we're giving it a special prompt to allow it to know what's going on. Now, it is not always correct, so you have to be careful, just as with normal ChatGPT. It doesn't always tell you the truth. Sometimes it will give you the wrong thing to do. In this case, it's saying to fix this error, you either need to remove the line, or if you intend to use it, then you should declare it, which is actually a very fantastic thing to say. It is correct in this case. If I remove it and save it and I compile it again, I will have no problems. Pardon? Where's the double slash? Let's kill the double slash. Okay, and if I run it, then it will give me my printout statement that I asked it to do. Okay, fantastic. Now I said to you before, this include stdio. What happens if you don't include it? What happens if you forget to include it? So I'm going to comment it out, okay? Let's comment it out and let's save it again. And I'm going to compile it again. You know what, first I'm going to clear it maybe so that you can see what's going on. And then I'm going to compile it again by running DCC. And it's going to tell me, I mean obviously the errors are fantastic, good luck interpreting them, but this one is not bad. Implicitly declaring library function printf with type int, constant char, blah blah blah. You're calling printf on line 7, DCC does not recognize printf as a function. Do you have include stdio.h at the top of your file? So DCC is very good at picking out which standard library you might have forgotten, and it will tell you the error that you've made. So please read the error messages because it also helps us if you get a random error when you're doing your assignment. It's much easier for us to see that you've read the error and you've tried something from the error before you come to us to interpret that error as well. Okay, so I'm going to fix that by including this again because I need it to run this printf, which is a function in itself. Okay, so now if I compile it again, it will compile fine, and if I run it, then it will also do the printout no problem as well. Okay, any questions right now? Am I moving too fast, too slow? Let's poll. Let's do a poll, please. Are there any disadvantages of using GCC instead of DCC? Yes, there are. In our case, an introductory. For those of you that know what GCC is, it's the standard C compiler, another compiler. And we don't use it because it allows you to, well, it will be more apparent in linked lists, but it just gives you seg faults, doesn't tell you where the error is, and also it allows a lot of errors through that DCC picks up. And that's why we use DCC, because it helps you get better coding practices to start with. Okay, let's have a look at this poll. Okay, so a few people that still would like to go over it again. I've covered so many things now, I'm like, I don't know which part to go over. Hey? It's all about equally split. All right, for anyone in the chat, tell me what you would like for me to just quickly go over again. Or if anyone wants to pipe up from the audience, that is. They will. You will also go over it again in the tutorial. So don't worry, we do repeat ourselves a lot. LS just means list the structure of the directory. I want to know what's inside my folder. Everything. Okay, and moving. And okay, oh my gosh, okay, everything. How about I shut everything and quickly go over it again without all the confusing stuff in between? Does that sound good? All right, closing, closing, closing. Let's say I'm starting again, and I'll open up the terminal, and inside my terminal, I will travel to the directory or the folder where my code is kept. Okay, so my code is kept inside this public. That's not where your code will be kept. You know, your code might be wherever. This is where it is on my computer and on my account. Okay, so when I move directories, I do CD, which means change directory. To go back up one, I do CD ... And to go all the way to the top, I just do CD on its own, and it will take me all the way to the top. So here, if I do CD ... what it will do is it'll take me up one to code. So if I do that, I'm up one at code. If I do again, it'll take me up another directory to 24T1. If I want to go all the way back to the very beginning, I just do CD without the dots. And it's just a way to move around the directory. So when I get to this directory, you've seen me type ls, which means list the structure. And what that does is it lists out what is inside this directory. And there's 3 files in there. The files right now are helloworld.c. That's the C file that we were writing as our code. And there's 2 other files. There's a file called cheese, and there's a file called hello. These 2 files have no extensions on them. Okay, so there's no dot anything to them. They're the executable files. These are the files that we run by doing // whatever the name of the file is. Now we don't need the file cheese, so we can get rid of it. And if we do rm cheese, what it will do is it will then remove that file cheese. So now it's cleaned up. So the file hello is the executable file of hello-world.c. Now often we name the file exactly the same thing but without the extension. But I'm super lazy, which is why it became hello. I didn't want to type 5 extra characters, which I really should have for the demonstration purposes. You can call it whatever you want, but it's good practice to name it the same thing so that you know which executable belongs to which file. Because if I now create a hello.c file and I have a hello for that and a hello for that, no one knows where the hello belongs to. Okay, so to open up my VS Code environment, I'll type in code and the name of the file that I want to open it with. This will open the file hello-world.c. If I want to create a whole new file, what I can do is Okay, this will open VS Code with this file already opened. Now what happens if I just want to make a new file? I can just make a new, let me call it new file. So I'm telling open VS Code for me and create the file called newfile.c. And what it will do is it'll create the actual file for me here. So it doesn't have to be in the directory to open it. I can just do a new name straight away and it will create the file for me. Okay, in the file hello-world.c, we've got a few things going on. We've got a comment. This is a comment. Any comment is preceded by these types of slashes. Do you know how else I can do a much longer comment? What if I want to write an essay at the... Please don't do that. But what if I want to write a bit of an essay? Well, you can ask Sophie about that. She wrote a bit of a letter in her exam towards the end of it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I can do a longer comment by doing /*, and you can see it finishes me. So anything in between these two sections will be a comment as well. And that just means that, you know, I don't have to worry about putting 2 backslashes on every single line that I write. Okay, so there you go, something for fun. Then we have our hash include, and we have our stdio.h, which stands for standard library in C. And this hash include basically includes the standard library. You don't have to understand it yet. You just have to know that it's part of the syntax. You have to write it for every file that you create in C. You will need to use that standard input-output because you'll probably have some sort of print statement that you need to use. And then you have your main, and your main is what is going to be read first, and that's the part that has all the instructions in it for the computer what to do. So someone in here asked if I have to write this void thing. It's a bit of an advanced question, or if I can leave it blank. You can leave it blank, but it's good practice to not leave it blank because you are then specifically saying that there is nothing in there. I have looked at it, I know there's nothing in there. And that has to do with good style when you're actually coding. When you get out into the workplace, it's not just you that's reading your code, it's many, many, many people. And you have to be able to kind of tell this other person what it is that you mean or you're saying with your code. And if you have very messy code, no one knows what on earth you're talking about, and that's not a good way to program. You're not going to keep that job very, very long. So keep your code nice and neat. Okay. Then we have our curly braces, and the curly braces is kind of giving this big statement. Anything in between the curly braces is going to start, we're going to start reading it. So we've got our printf function, which means print out to terminal, and whatever we enclose it in just normal braces. And then because I'm printing out a statement or an English sentence, I guess, even if I was printing out numbers, I would enclose it in double inverted commas. Okay, so we're going to do the statement hello world, and then we're going to do our /n, which is a new line, and that means go to the next line, okay? And it's going to create that new line when we actually run the code. And then we always finish with a return 0, which says that we've finished here. you can return to whatever function you came from. Again, this probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but it will in a few weeks, I promise. So for those of you that are thinking, well, with Hello World, this is pretty easy. I'm swimming through it. The learning curve is steep. The first few weeks might be okay, and then we really pick up pace and we go at 100 miles an hour. I'll try to slow it down, and I'll try to also speed it up for those that need it. But it is going to get more intense. Hey? Oh, you were laughing, yeah. Is that how you felt in the course? Yeah, well, a bit of both. So it is going to get a lot harder. And on Wednesday, we start looking at some really weird things that C does. We're going to look at variables, and I think we're going to look at if statements as well. So we're going to have a little bit of an early mark so you can sink all of that in, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night.